Can I tell you, we go right into it? Can I tell you about
Yeah,
my
so
doctor?
I mean, well, we'll do a little intro here.
All right, do an intro. You're so
You know,
professional.
I want to welcome everybody back to Obsessed with
Yeah.
Death. This is the final word. So this is another podcast that is part of the Obsessed with Death world. We're not interviewing anybody. It's just myself and Greg Stone, and we are going to talk about some fun, weird death stories. That's what this show is about. Um, and yeah, just all the things. Tell a friend, make sure you're subscribed, share the podcast on the internet if you feel like doing that. All that stuff helps a ton. But yeah, we're back for another episode of The Final Word. Greg, hello, welcome.
Man, happy to be here.
I'm I'm happy that you're here too. We had a quick phone call on Tuesday, which I think we're going to get into a little bit here. You saw a
Yeah.
doctor. There's been some things, and I was a little upset because the conversation we had was kind of death adjacent-ish and fun, and we didn't get to record it. So I'm excited that you want to talk about it right now.
Well, what's
Um,
great is I forgot
yeah,
what we talked about because I was in such another place that
yeah,
it's gonna be a fresh conversation for me. You just kind of have to pretend if I just start repeating things you already heard, just pretend you didn't hear it.
yeah. It was brief. You just sort of gave me an idea of what was going on, and it felt like it was podcast appropriate. So I'm glad we're going to get into it. But you recently went to the doctor. That is definitely death adjacent. How did that
Yeah.
go?
So real quick, I got to tell you,
Yeah,
I got this new doctor,
yeah.
and there's this new thing they're doing with doctors, which is awesome, which is you pay $100 a month, and then you can text or call them as much as you want, and they'll respond.
Uh,
And
Hold on. First of
it's
all, that sounds incredibly dangerous because I would abuse that immediately.
oh, I am.
Yeah,
She's just my friend, and I'm just trying to make this doctor my friend, and I
yeah.
just end the sentence with, I think I have an ear infection. Should I get a medication? I'm like, they're like, so my wife's a little mad. My kids are crazy. I don't know. Are you
Yeah.
watching Severance? It's pretty good. Anyway, my nose has been running. Can you prescribe me something? And she's like, yeah.
The doctor office that I go to now is very much a traditional doctor's office, but they do text you sometimes. It's mostly when I forget to pay them or if, a reminder about an appointment, but I will text
Yeah.
them just questions and they never respond to me. So you're saying this service, they'll actually respond.
Yeah. It's like, it's a new way the medical medicine that's happening. Like, and
Yeah.
my appointments with her, I've had two, and they're an hour. They're not
Wow.
5 minutes, it's an hour. So I sit with
Wow.
her and she's just talking to me. And she's trying to get to know me, and we're just going on and on and on.
Yeah.
And she goes, um, so what's going on? We're trying to talk about getting a weight loss drug, right? Because
Okay.
I was like, should I do this weight loss drug? Should I not? And she was like, I think we should get our house in order first, right? Like, let's get your
I like
mental
that.
health under control,
Yeah.
and
Smart.
then if we need it after, we'll move into it. But whatever. So I'm just telling her all my shit, and she goes, um, so do you ever have signs of hopelessness? And I was like, hopelessness? I looked at it and I was like, I don't know what hopelessness is, but
Yeah.
I do know that when I die, nothing I do will mean anything. Uh, and everyone I love will be dead. And then eventually everything I've done it has zero value because eventually it just all blows out. Eventually the world is going to come to an end. So anything anyone has ever done really means nothing. Um, and so like, why do we even do anything? And she goes, so have you ever thought about Wellbutrin? Uh,
She's just slowly pulling out the prescription pad as you're talking.
yeah, it was so funny. She was like, yeah, she was take this test. It was like a depression quiz.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And so I take the quiz and it was like, oh, you're Luke Skywalker. And I was like, no, it was like you're it was the depression quiz was like, if you get over five, and I was like 38.
Oh yeah,
But I
buddy.
never knew I had it or anything. I just thought that I because I was telling her that like my ADHD it bothers me, but I just feel like I have a wet blanket holding me down all of the time. Like getting
Yeah.
up, moving is hard. It's all brutal. Like every time I get up, I'm like, ah, it's like,
Yeah,
and
of
yeah.
course.
And she was like, you might have depression. So she was like, let's try this medication. We'll see. Even she goes,
Yeah.
even if it's 20%, Like if it makes your life, if it takes 20% better,
Sure.
like that's huge. Like you might
Yeah.
just need a little bit of a kick.
Yeah.
And so she's like, but this medication, it's you have to be on it for like a month or two before you really start seeing a difference. And
Yeah.
it's kind of rewire you a little bit. So you might have some weird ups and downs. And so when we
Yeah.
talked on Tuesday, I was in a down. It
Yeah.
was, but it was cool because I knew what it was,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
So I just kind of felt it, right? I was like, oh, I know what this is. This is the medication. So let's
Yeah.
just be fucking depressed, right? Or whatever. And I just kind of sat in it. And then I told you, I was like, yeah, we can't record today because it's going to be fucking weird. You were like, that's cool, man.
I honestly was like, this phone call should be the podcast, but I get it. Absolutely
Yeah,
get it. But yeah, man, I mean, I feel like um that's a big part of it, right? Is even if it just helps, like she said, 20%, that's at least
right,
moving in the right direction, you know?
right. Well, she asked me, she was like, do you have any suicidal ideation? And I was like, well, there's a guy in my head every day. He says, you should kill yourself every
Yeah.
day,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
never serious. He's always just
Sure.
going, ah, we should kill ourselves. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Always. But everybody else in my head votes him out. And
Yeah.
she was like, so maybe we should talk about that because what if one day they don't vote him out? Like, what
Sure.
if one day the other guys are asleep, you know? And I was like, yeah, maybe we just kind of figure that guy out.
Yeah.
But, he's always just like, maybe I'll blow my brains out. That's fine.
Dude, it always I I have a very similar feelings, and that guy lives in my head too for sure. And it always blows my mind when I tell people that and they can't relate at all when they're just like
Right.
there are people that don't have that guy in their head at all.
That's
And
crazy to me.
it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Crazy to just
Right.
live in a world where you wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, time to start my day and let's start. And it's just, it never crosses your mind to be like, I could just, I don't have to do it. I could just kill myself. I don't have to do anything today,
Right.
but
Right.
yeah,
No, and I was telling her, I was like, I don't know the difference between that guy and intrusive thoughts. Because I get a lot of intrusive thoughts
yeah,
that like this is a weird one. Like I'll just be talking to somebody, anybody, just a guy, and my
yeah.
brain goes, kiss him, kiss him, kiss him. What?
That's
I don't want
adorable.
to. I don't know why, but my brain's just kiss him. What? It's the
Yeah.
weirdest thing.
Like on the
I get lit.
forehead or right on the mouth.
It does. He's not specific. He's just
Maybe
going,
on,
kiss him. Just
maybe
go
on the
for it.
neck. Yeah.
Just kiss him on the lips. I don't know, but like crazy thoughts. And then
Sure.
it's like that's not
Yeah.
really gay because I'm not like looking at a man being like, I want to marry you and spend time with you. But
Yeah.
my brain is like, go for it.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. I get that.
So there's a guy in my head going, kiss him, and there's another guy going, we should blow our brains out. Those are the two people. It's like the two
It's
people
not the same
running.
guy. There's two different guys.
I like to think of the Power Rangers, right? There's like a Red Ranger who's controlling the head, a Green Ranger who's controlling suicide,
Yeah.
and like the Black Ranger who's the Death Ranger. And
How, Death Ranger seems like a missed opportunity for the Power Rangers.
yeah, it's a really cool thing. The Death Ranger.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so but it's all nuts. It's all nuts.
So, how did you feel after the appointment ended? You obviously got the medication. You got to sort of talk to the doctor. Again, you said you get an hour, and you get the ability to sort of reach or sort of touch base through texting or whatever. Do you feel did How did you feel afterwards?
It's fucking cool because it's cool to kind of get yourself on track.
Yeah.
Like we're on our way to getting on track.
Yeah.
Because all I think about is I'm overweight and I'm going to die soon and I'm going to get diabetes.
Yeah.
And it's like with his doctor being like, hey, no, we can fix this, man. Like, it doesn't, what are you talking about? Like, we can fix this. There's
Yeah.
drugs that make you lose weight now. They figured out weight loss, they cured it.
Yeah, that
That's
is pretty
crazy.
crazy. I got a handful of friends that are all doing the weight loss drug stuff right now.
Oh, yeah, the
And
Ozempic.
yeah. Or just like different versions of there's already like
Yeah.
other versions. There's like,
Yeah.
there's like the
Wegovia.
Costco
The
version of
Costco.
of Ozempic now, I think
Yeah.
exists.
They
And
give it to you with the $2 hot dog. That's
it's
funny.
just in the hot dog. They just inject it in there. I have some friends who have never been able to lose weight their entire lives. We're in our late 30s and they're dropping weight. They're feeling
Yeah.
good. The only thing that I've heard is, and everyone's sort of said a version of this is like some sort of like acid reflux, burping. Like it's nothing crazy, but
Right.
it's always like, oh yeah, I get like real bad like burps afterwards, or
Yeah.
like my
But you don't
stomach
feel it
feels.
over the amount of pussy you're just smashing now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure that does help. It does. It does help. Well, that's great, man. I mean, you make a good point, right? It's you do feel most people, I think, feel better after they at least. The hardest part is making the appointment, right? It's just like
Right.
getting there. And then you do it, you talk to the doctor, you realize you don't have to die in the next 3 to 5 years.
Right. We are all, we could fix all of the things. And it
Yeah.
feels like you can't, but
Yeah.
you can.
You
And
just,
it, I like you said, you feel like everyone's like this. And it's like,
yeah.
no, there's just people out there just well regulated, smiling, you know, eating
Yeah.
normal food, just
Yeah.
eating normally.
Yeah.
What an amazing, they have a pool. They just go in their pool. It's great.
And you know what's so interesting to me too is like you are married, you have children, you have, a career that I assume you enjoy. Like you
Yeah.
have a lot of stuff going for you. Not that I'm saying that you shouldn't be depressed because you have all of those things, but you do have a lot of stuff on the right track. You clearly are going in the right direction in a lot of parts of your life, but there's still, of course, is that guy in your head who wants to kiss people and have you kill yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? And that's
Yeah.
why I argue with the depression thing, because I don't know if I have depression. It's just like I just think that I'm broke. Like
Yeah.
I hate to be vulnerable, but like me and my wife went through it because we had to move and we spent like all of our savings and we just kind of blew through all this shit. And now we're kind of like working our way back to trying to get ourselves regular. And
Yeah.
so it's like, what is depression versus what is me being broke and the country is falling apart and we're just living in modern society. And I understand what life is, that at 40, we how much life do I have left, right? Like what
Yeah.
is depression versus just fear of what is really coming. Um,
Yeah. Just being conscious and like self-aware of what's happening in the world is basically just a form of depression at this point.
right.
Yeah.
I would love to be Christian,
Of
and just
course.
you just sit there and you're like, oh, like I'm Jesus is coming and that's awesome.
Eventually I'll just be in heaven with all my friends.
I mean, I'm so
Yeah.
jealous.
Yeah. No, it's the
They don't
best.
have depression.
Yeah, that is interesting, right? Is it possible to legitimately believe in heaven and also be depressed?
Right.
Because
Maybe
it's like, well,
because
what are you fucking sad about? Everything's eventually going to work out fine.
so the other hand, the other side of that is I think as a Catholic, you have all that guilt, right? Because you're like, am I going
Yeah.
to heaven? I did fuck up. I did steal that Twizzler from ShopRite. God was watched. Like you're
Yeah.
constantly living under the quiz and the test of the big guy. So
Yeah.
that's got to be stressful in its own way.
I think to your original point, ideally, I think I would be happier if my brain worked that way and it was like, oh, yeah, no, it's all going to work out eventually. I'll just die and float into the clouds or however that works.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
it would be great. Well, I'm excited. We're gonna have to get updates now on how your brain is slowly changing. Well, we'll have to do a segment on the show now where we find out if you're slowly getting less sad. I'm just gonna see you get thinner and thinner on on every Zoom call, and you're just gonna be happier and happier every 10 pounds you lose.
Yeah. I know,
I
but I do want to circle back real quick before we move
yeah,
on about like
yeah,
that what you said with like my kids and my job. Like,
yeah,
yeah, man, I have a really great I love my job. I love my wife. I love my kids. And I was talking to Nathan McIntosh. He's another comedian. He's a really, really funny comic. He's like one of my closer friends. And he had just gone through a breakup. And this other comic, Caitlin Palufo, she's a really funny comic, another good friend of mine. They're talking about breakups. And I'm sitting here and they're like, what are you upset about? Like, you're like the happiest guy I know, they said. And I went, oh,
yeah,
that's what you think? And that's when I was like, I got to talk to a doctor about this because that's not how I feel. And I realized it
yeah.
wasn't syncing. And I was like, oh, this should sync. If it's not syncing up, that's a problem. Because I mean, like, what the fuck do I have to complain about? You know what I mean? Like,
I go through these phases where I'll have a day where I'm just like everything's pointless. I fucking just bumming myself out on whatever. And then I'll like open up my phone or like go on TikTok, and then there's like a video of like a 9-year-old in the hospital with cancer, and I'm like, I gotta shut the fuck up. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
perspective is a big part of it, and whatever. Sometimes I'm like, well, I could be on the other side of the planet, fucking living in a hut, and life is, just chaos, whatever. There's obviously much worse versions of what our life could be, but it's still just like chemicals in your brain, man, that are just making you
that's the
sad,
thing.
you know?
That's the thing. And you say that, and I know that we want to move on, but
No, I'm
I'm
fine.
but the reality is like no, I mean that kid with like the I don't say kid with cancer, but like a guy with cancer might not be depressed at all because it's the ultimate, like he finally knows what it's all about. And like
Yeah.
I think that everyone is a scale of 1 to 10. It's just where like it sucks to say it, but like a rich guy can be just as depressed as a poor person.
Yeah.
It's just what is in his thing. It's where your chemicals at. So it's like it's not about getting stuff or being rich or being in a good position. It's about getting your fucking chemicals right, you know?
I've said this on the podcast before, but there's a do you ever watch Breaking Bad?
Of course.
Okay. Oh, I don't know. Some people haven't seen it.
I know why I answer like that, like an asshole. Well, fuck you, man. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a scene where Bryan Cranston talks about how he's just lived in fear his entire life. And I'm not I'm quoting it terribly, but basically the idea is he talks about how he's lived in fear his entire life, and the moment he got his cancer diagnosis, he never slept better. And I
Right.
just never related to anything more in my entire life because I truly feel like I don't want cancer. I want to live to be 112 years old. But I don't know why I said 112, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it seems like a good number. But I truly think that the moment I get like that some doctor sits me down and they're like, you have brain cancer, you got whatever, I really truly feel like all of my anxiety will go away forever.
Right. Right.
And I don't know what that is, but for whatever reason, I feel like it's the not knowing that really stresses me out. And this is anxiety, I guess, more than depression, but it's all the same shit. I am just constantly anxious about my health. You get like the weird sharp pain in your chest, and you're like, this
Yeah.
is fucking it. All of that shit. It's just like that stuff makes me crazy. And sometimes I do just want somebody to be like, oh, no, you're right. You are dying. You do
Right.
have a tumor behind your eyeball. And I'm like,
Be a great
cool. I
service.
fucking knew it. Thank you. And I'd feel
That'll
so
be
much better.
right.
At least I think so. Or who knows? Maybe I'll hate every moment of it. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad you went to the doctor. I actually have I was supposed to go to the doctor 2 days ago, but had to reschedule partially because of some actual work stuff, partially because I just wanted to also reschedule and not go. So I pushed it for like another 2 weeks,
Yeah.
but I did reschedule. I could have just canceled, but I
Right.
did reschedule. I'm doing my yearly blood work and the whole thing, so hopefully
That's
I
great. Get the
I
workup
yeah, find
because you
out.
feel good after it. Because then they give you blood work and all the things you think you might be killing you,
Yeah.
you realize aren't happening,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's great.
I'm just I'm hoping the big ones, cholesterol's okay, and I don't know, my liver somewhat still functions, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as
Sure.
we've got those two. Those are like the only ones I ever really think about. It's like, I don't
Yeah.
know. But
I'm
anyway.
a kidney guy. I'm always worried
Oh,
about my kidneys.
really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I had kidney stones.
that's
So I'm
right.
always I'm
Now,
always
yeah,
on the
it's
fence.
yeah. Yeah, I've been very lucky in the sense that I've never really had anything major. It's always just anytime I've ever gotten blood work done, they're always like, well, it could be better, but I mean, like you don't I've never been to the point where they're like,
It
you
could
need
be
to be
better.
you need to be on medication. They're always
Hmm.
like, not just if you just ate better, at least everything would go down a little bit and you'd be fine. And then I
So
just
can I give you a
yeah.
little bit of advice?
Yeah, please.
Like, you're 34.
37.
Oh, okay. So maybe too late. Uh, no, no, but I'm 43,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're good right now, right? You're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would say don't worry about full life change.
Yeah.
right? But with this year, do a small change that you just turn into a habit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then when you're 39, another one. And by the time you're 44, you'll realize it's like one of those things where it's like, man, if you could just practice guitar for 5 minutes a day, next thing you know, you're 40 and you've been playing for 30 years.
Yeah. I did. I love that. Yeah. I have very much, I think it's like once I hit 35, I, uh, I pretty much just went, all right, I'll get my shit together before 40. Like as long
Right.
as I have my shit together, and by my shit together I mean, I don't know, eating better, drinking less, maybe,
Yeah.
I'm not a big exerciser. I walk a lot, but that's like for anxiety purposes, but it's still, I walk a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not, I could be better. So I'll give a full report of my blood work on the podcast. Don't worry,
I would
everybody. It's
like that.
coming. I'm
I would
not
love that.
joking. I 100% will. You think I'm not going to talk about my blood work? I've
I'll
asked
text
my
my doctor, tell her it's my blood work. She'll have to answer all your questions.
I love it. It's so funny you say that because you have to give me more info. I need this doctor, sir. I will boot my current doctor immediately if I could find a doctor that I could text. Right now, I'm just
Yeah.
fucking asking Chat GPT a bunch of medical questions all the
Oh
time,
no.
which honestly
No
does
way.
kind of help, but a real doctor would be much better.
They're the best. Her and her husband,
Yeah.
and they're like it's awesome. But my best friend Mike does this in Philadelphia. He's a doctor, and it's this whole new. That's how I learned about it because he started doing this. He's like it's a
Yeah.
whole new way of practice where they're like because he was a doctor with he had to see like 20 patients a day just to stay like within the practice he was working or like 30 or more. And it's like you get 10 minutes with a
Yeah.
patient. He's like, I don't, this isn't why I got into this job.
Yeah.
And so now with this new system, it allows them to kind of take their time with people, and it's the best.
Yeah.
It's a little more expensive because you have to pay. I pay $100 a month, and you still have to have insurance, but like catastrophe insurance.
Okay.
So there's things they don't do,
Yeah.
like the insurance still has to cover my blood work, any of
Yeah.
that surgical stuff, but it's you got to talk to them. I'm not sure exactly how it
Yeah,
works,
no,
but I'm
it's just
loving it.
it's cool. It's cool that that exists, because
Yeah.
I feel like that was always my biggest issue was that always felt rushed at the doctor. I would always record my doctor sessions on my
Uh-huh.
phone because
That's
I I
funny
would I would
and
I would
illegal.
I'd no 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 I would tell them I was recording it because I would tell them I was like I forget half the shit you tell me as soon as I
Yeah.
walk out the door. I mean I have
My
no other way
doctor
of remembering.
she texts me after. She goes, I'm gonna text you what we just said. And now it's whatever. It's
I
the
mean
best.
I would want to kiss her on the mouth. That
I
sounds incredible.
I don't know how to say that to her because
Yeah.
it's like I know you're married and I'm married and I'm
Yeah.
not sexually attracted to you,
Yeah.
but I mean
But
she's
like in
not.
a patient
Yes.
the doctor relationship way, just a
I
little
want to kiss
smooch.
you like an Italian man kisses an Italian man,
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. I think
you
I think
know?
if you call it a smooch,
A
it's
smooch.
not romantic.
Yeah. It's give her a smooch.
I just want to give you a little smooch for
Yeah.
making me feel better.
Right.
I don't think your wife would be mad about that. I don't know your wife. I'm just
She
assuming
doesn't care.
she'd be
She
okay
doesn't
with a
care
little
about anything.
smooch.
I don't know what my wife would care about. I think we're just both two depressed people who are like, whatever. No, we can't control anything. Who cares?
Well, it sounds like you're on the right path, buddy, and I'm glad. I'm glad you're doing that for yourself, man.
I'm
Um,
very excited.
yeah, that's good. And hopefully some people listening will get motivated to go see a doctor.
Go
I
see a
mean,
doctor.
get a checkup, go get some blood work. You don't even have to, at least in Phoenix, you don't even have to see a doctor to get blood work. You could just go to the place where they do the blood work and just fill out a form, tell them what you want to learn about, and they'll just take your blood and then send you an email.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, dude. There's this lab in Arizona called Sonora Quest, and you could literally just go there, make an appointment, and they'll give you a little clipboard, and it's just you just check all the boxes of the stuff you want to learn about, and then you make an account, and they shoot you a little inbox thing, and it tells you everything. It tells you if it's high, it tells you if it's low, whatever the fuck, and then copy and paste it into Chat GPT, and then you don't even have to see a doctor. They'll just tell you.
Right.
But anyway, all right. Let's at least get into one story here. I forgot to hit a
Sure.
timer. I don't know how long we've been going for. That was probably like 20 minutes. But I at least want to get into this first story because it's very appropriate to what we've just been talking about, which
Hmm.
is that every year, congratulations, by the way, we both have we've made it past the largest spike of the year when it comes to death. Apparently, there is a spike in death between Christmas and New Year's, and they don't know why. I don't know. I wrote in the show notes. I don't know. I don't.
Right.
I don't know why I wrote this. I wrote Rob and Greg will solve this mystery.
No,
That was
I
definitely
saw that.
weed. Definitely the weed. Um, but so death rates spike on Christmas Day, the day after Christmas, and New Year's Day. The common causes are either natural causes, circulatory issues, respiratory diseases, cancer,
Oh,
metabolic, or digestive disorders.
big Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
You get a little heart attack, maybe.
Well, I for sure, the first thing when I read digestive disorder, I was like, oh, yeah, well, people are just binge eating from Christmas Eve until New Year's Day, I would
Hmm.
assume, and then even a little bit before with Thanksgiving, they don't talk about Thanksgiving in here, but it does seem like it mostly is from that range, the Christmas Day to New Year's Day. But yeah, I would assume, large amount of eating, a lot of salt, but
You're
it
off,
is
so you're drinking. They're drinking.
that's another one. They don't even mention alcohol in here, but that's got to be such a big part of it. Is yeah, I mean, it is sort of a broad range though, right? Because they go, okay, well, natural causes. Okay, fine. So that happens all year. So it seems weird to even put that. But they go basically from natural causes to cancer is like sort of like the range there, right? But the,
Yeah,
the interesting part of this whole thing is that scientists still can't really pinpoint the exact reason for what they're calling it a phenomenon. They can't figure
yeah,
it out. And they even did some testing, right? Because people are like, "Oh, it's the holidays, it's cold," but it's happening in Australia and it's summertime
right.
in Australia during the holidays. So for whatever reason, and I guess I don't know, you would immediately just go to it's the holidays, it's the stress of the
Yeah,
holidays. But they're saying
but
that doesn't seem to be it.
I do think there is part of your brain that goes, might as well die at the end of the year. Like just get to the end of this year, and then we'll
It
go.
yeah, it is very type A, right? You're like
Yeah,
top of the year. I don't want to even get into the new year. Let me
yeah.
just knock this whole life thing out right before the new year starts. That does
Well,
feel good. I do like that.
those stories of like people who are married for and they die
Yeah.
like within weeks of each other, right? Like there is something that mentally that people just go, well, I made it to Christmas. I just wanted to see the family. I'll see you guys later.
I just saw a story in the news. Conan O'Brien's parents
Yeah,
died 3 days apart from each other. I mean,
crazy.
and they were both much older. I think they were both in their 80s or maybe close to their 90s. But yeah,
But still,
I think his dad died and then his mom died like 3 days later. And it's like, yeah, well, I mean, you did it. You made it your whole life with this one person, and you did the thing, and you made it into. Of what else are you gonna do? You might as well just die. And I do think
yeah.
that I think your body does sort of know, right?
I gotta
That it's
say,
yeah.
that's gotta be a beautiful thing, right? Like you're older, your son is Conan O'Brien.
I mean,
You're like,
yes,
we
yeah,
did our job.
yeah.
Our son is wildly successful.
They were both very successful too. I mean, his
Right.
dad was like some sort of, successful, famous scientist. His mother was like an academic of some kind. Like, yeah,
Your success just doesn't, I say like now that I have kids, I'm like, now it's like I just want my kids to be good. So like
yeah.
just knowing that your kid is ultimate good and
Mm.
like you did good and you did all the things, part of you just goes, we did it. We won, you know?
They on paper, from the outside looking in, it seems like they had the perfect life.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
I mean, yeah.
being married for whatever 50 plus years, having a child who is loved by literally people from all over the world. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, it really doesn't seem to get better than that. But was it during it was during the holidays too. I think it was
Yeah.
right around Christmas, right? So I
Yeah.
mean,
Because that's like the only podcast I listen to. And I
is
think they were like
Conan's?
coming for break. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
I
my
love
favorite.
that.
Conan is the funniest man who's ever lived.
There's no one funnier than Conan O'Brien. No
Right.
one. Yeah, I absolutely adore the man. I'm terrible. I've never met him. I don't think I would want to. I would be so scared I'd
Hmm.
catch him on a bad day that it would
I
ruin
know.
me for the rest of my life.
I've all of the famous I've met. I said I'm lucky enough in my career that most of my heroes I've met,
Yeah.
uh, and every single one of them has let me down.
That's such a bummer.
Every single one of them who I was like, man, you're the guy I look up to. And I
Yeah.
met them and I went, fuck, you
Ah,
suck.
God
But not
damn it.
Conan. I've never met Conan, and I refuse to meet Conan.
Dude, yeah, I don't I would go the opposite direction if I saw him walking down the street. I would legitimately run away from him. I don't want I just want my the version of my in my head. That's what I want forever.
I will say though, none of the people that I've met um, had podcasts, and I do think when you listen to someone's podcast, it's got to be almost impossible to not get a taste of what they kind of are,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Like even with I listen to Smartless a little,
Uh-huh.
and I like my wife loves it, and I listen
Yeah.
to it, and I really like those guys, but
Yeah.
sometimes you could feel the arrogance or the like upper crusty feeling. Like you can sense it a
Just
little
say
bit.
Jason Bateman seems like kind of a douche.
Not even him. I mean, to me, what's his name?
Will Arnett?
Will Arnett, who
Yeah,
I love the most.
yeah, me
Sometimes he
too,
says
man.
things I go, "Oh, are you kind of a dick, baby?" Like not dick, but like you might be
Yeah.
big time in people at parties.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I don't listen to that podcast, but I did watch the HBO documentary that they did. Did you
Yeah,
see that?
yeah,
And I got the sense that Will Arnett is the coolest because it was like still kind of COVIDy when they made the documentary. And
yeah,
he would just pull his mask down and go smoke a cigarette. And I was like, I kind of love that.
yeah, yeah. I do think though that it's may have changed a little bit since the podcast because since then they've gotten huge.
Yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
they had great careers, but now I think it's another level.
Do you have a theory? What do you think? Why do you think people are dying? I mean, scientists can't figure it out. So obviously we're going to solve this right now.
I
Um,
mean, you've
what
got
it,
to see your family is so stressful.
yeah,
Your heart can't take that.
I,
You got to deal with your racist mother on Christmas. Your heart just goes, you know what? We're done. We're done.
yeah. I was gonna say it's gotta. I mean, it's gotta be family, right? It's gotta. I understand people have pre or pre-existing conditions or whatever, but I promise you, you could be in the best shape of your life, and I don't know, a 3 day weekend with your family during Christmas and New Year's will shave 10 years off your life. It has to.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
I
know what's
get anxiety just thinking about it.
you know what's got to be fucking depressing? This is just way too depressing.
Yeah,
But you get your mom or somebody a gift,
yeah,
and then you like, I think I nailed it this year.
yeah.
And then they die, and you never get to give it to them. And like, do you unwrap it? Do you return
Oh,
it? Well,
oh, buddy.
like, do you
Yeah,
just give it to somebody else? You leave it wrapped. You go, I'm just gonna give it to somebody else, and they're like, oh, this is great. It's like, yeah, it was for my
yeah.
mother, but she died, and I didn't want to get you something. So,
The idea of Christmas presents being underneath the tree and then just staying there because
yeah,
the person whose name is on them is dead. That'll haunt my dreams tonight a little bit.
that is fucking well. Okay, so on a lighter note, one of my I was just a
No, I
bit I
love
was
it.
trying to work on.
Yeah.
Do you ever hear that? There's that old quote where they say the saddest short story ever told is like baby shoes for sale, never used.
Oh,
And
okay,
you
sure, yeah.
go, no, that's not a sad story because now that I'm a parent, I know what that story is. Every single, it's baby shoes unused because my mom didn't know the kid size. No one got around to get them to me. It's just,
Sure.
you know how many fucking completely unused clothes you just get and have in your house? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's 99% of the time it's unused because you just, they grow so fast.
Yeah, mom forgot to text
So,
me and ask me what shoe size the kids wear
yeah,
or yeah, a growth spurt. It's like, your kid's just growing. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, come on. So yeah, unwrapped Christmas presents. This should be the name of our fucking goth band forever, right?
Presents left under the tree.
Yeah.
I will give you, all right, hold on. I will give you this though, because I've never bought a present for a parent and had them die and not be able to give it to them. But I will say this: I have bought my dad Christmas presents and birthday presents, and maybe couple of weeks later, he has come to my home and handed me a fistful of cash and be like, you know what, I returned it. I didn't need it. I've bought him so many books and pieces of artwork or whatever the fuck it is, and he'll look at it and be like, "Oh, this is nice, thanks," and then just give me cash like 2 weeks later because he returned it.
He just gives you a refund. That's funny. It's like, Dad, you could use the cash. I mean,
Well,
just get something like,
I would always tell him, I was like, you realize how hurtful this is, right? Like,
that's so,
I would
yeah,
rather you just throw it in a closet and never look at it ever again.
right.
But he's
No,
like his thought process is, oh, I'd rather you have the money, whatever. He's a psychopath. So these are the people I have to spend the holidays with, and probably why people die during Christmas and New Year's. New Year's too is like that's another one where you would just assume you're trying Molly for the first time or something just kills you. But
yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it's interesting that there's like a very specific couple of days where just people are just dying uncontrollably. And this is the last thing that I wanted to mention. And I want to get this person, not this person specifically, but this type of person on the podcast. I think it would be fun if we had him on this with the two of us. But there is another part of the article where they talk about they interviewed an obit writer, and he basically made a comment about how much it his job increases during the holidays. Like I just want to talk to the guy whose job it is like his busy season for writing
Right.
obits is fucking Christmas Eve.
Also, that job just got completely replaced by ChatGPT. You know,
It really did.
that guy, he doesn't need, that guy doesn't need to exist anymore.
Yeah, it really did. There's this great documentary called Obit that came out years ago where they followed around the obit writers for the New York Times. And man, it is just a hodgepodge of human beings that are just writing, obits for all these people. But
Wow.
I mean, if you want to next year, if you're looking to cancel, maybe you want to get out a day early, you don't want to see your family, send them that article. Just Google,
Yeah.
spike in deaths during the holidays. And when they ask, how long you're coming to visit or when you're gonna, see them during the holidays, send them that article and just let them know. I'm just looking out for your health here. It's probably best if I stay home,
But
and so do you.
I give you a cure for it, though. I have a cure for the death,
Oh, okay.
which is something that I do, which I really think it does make it less stressful.
Yeah,
For Christmas, we just kind of do nothing. We
yeah,
just stay at home.
yeah.
And then we do Christmas with the family in January. I don't
Really?
know why, but just a slight doing it a week later takes a little bit of the stress off because, first of all, there's that Christmas rush where you're freaking out that the presents
Yeah,
is whatever.
yeah,
But then when you have a week later, it's like you feel a little bit of the rush, you have time, then you get all the sales,
yeah,
and then you get all the Christmas presents on sale for your family. And
yeah.
it's a little less stressful.
It's like going to the grocery store like a couple of days after Halloween and just buying a fuck ton of candy.
That's exactly what it is. You get all your candy 50% off.
That's smart. No, I like that. With my family and a lot of other families, I'm sure people have to work during the holidays. I have a sister that works in the emergency room. Sometimes she's got to work holidays, so sometimes we will do like, oh, we'll do Christmas the following weekend, or we'll do Thanksgiving like the weekend instead of that Thursday or whatever. And
Yeah.
it does sort of seem like a little bit less stressful version, just because it's not like you got to get it. I got to be there on time. It's the day of whatever. So maybe that's the trick. Maybe if
Well,
everybody just celebrate, if we just spread out Christmas and New Year's, like half the country does Christmas in July and the other half does it in December. Maybe we save some lives.
another fun hack is that
Yeah,
we do this with a lot of parents do this, but it's a
yeah,
great trick,
yeah.
is that we watch the ball drop at 8 o'clock on
Yeesh.
YouTube the year
Sure.
before. And then everyone goes to bed. They put the kids to bed. They go to bed. They think it's New Year's.
Yeah,
They go to bed.
I
I get
love
two
that.
hours of myself. Yeah.
I was thinking you just like found like another time zone ball drop, but you're just pulling up. I guess the ball drop is only in New York. Do they do other ball drops?
Oh, yeah, they have the ball drop around the world.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
you
So
could watch the one in like Thailand. It's like at 4 in the afternoon or something.
I do
Sure.
that. That is funny though. Just going on YouTube and be like, oh, you're just changing all the clocks when the kids aren't
Yeah,
looking.
2022, man.
I
My
love
my
that.
kids are so young that they don't know. This was their first one that it
Yeah,
mattered. But my sister-in-law does that shit. She's like, that's what we would do it at 8 o'clock. They had no idea.
that's
She
so
probably did what
funny.
you said. They just watched in other countries.
Yeah. I'm sure at this point, yeah, you could just go online or whatever and just go on your phone and just throw whatever you want up on TV. Well, I think we solved it. I think we fixed it. It
I think
sounds
so.
like the trick is either abandoning your family or lying to them. I think are are both options. Um, so we did it. I think we figured it out. This episode was all over the place, and I loved it. And I think if we get anything out of this, it's that you should go see your doctor. Go get some blood work done. And if you don't want to go get your blood work done, don't. Just pretend like everything's fine forever. I think both are okay. You'll probably feel better if you do it. And yeah, I'm thinking, I don't know when the next episode comes out, but I should have a full report. I can't wait to read you guys all of my blood work, and you could guess my numbers if you want. You want to try
That's
and
fun.
you want to
We
try
should
and
gamble on the
yeah,
numbers.
yeah,
This is what you do. You should give us the rate, like
yeah,
what's normal, and
yeah.
then we'll bet on
Yes.
what you are.
We're gonna do high low on my cholesterol and my liver enzymes. I can't wait.
Everything I say is going to be insulting. It's all going to be like, yeah, high, high. And you're like, low, low. And I'm like, yeah, high.
I'm gonna really have to sell it. Yeah. So I can't wait
I
for
bet you
that.
your blood work is 1,000 times better than you think.
We'll find out. I think it'll
We'll
be
see
okay. I don't know.
next
I
time.
really have no idea. I don't remember what it was last year, but I don't think it was great, but I don't think it was the end of the world.
I'll
Either
pull
way,
my blood work up and we can compare.
I can't wait. We're doing a full episode on we'll text your doctor.
Yeah.
It'll be a whole thing. We'll have her on the podcast. Can't wait. All right, buddy. Thanks for doing this, man.
Thanks, bud.